Welcome back everybody. My name's Anna McCauley and you're doing another tutorial on Adobe Photoshop, and today we're going to be having a look at creating an invisible person. Now this one's done a little bit rough, but it's just a quick example just to show you, and there's lots of other ways that you can do it, but this is sort of what the one we'll just have a work on today, and then you can kind of see and apply it to your own images as well. So let's give it a go. So the first thing you're going to do is go File, Scripts, Load File into Stack. File, Scripts, Load File into Stack. Then you press Browse, which brings you to your default My Pictures. And if you, the most important thing is to try and download these images first so that you can work on it with the tutorial. It makes it much easier if you're working on the same images when you do any type of technology tutorial. So these images can be found on my Pinterest and you can download them from there. Alternatively, your teacher may have copied these pictures and put them on the network for you. So the first thing you're going to do is we've just done Load File into Stack, and you're going to highlight. So I'm holding my mouse down, highlighting the two and going OK. So you've got those images here coming out, and then you're going to go OK. I will try and rename those better for you. So I've got the background image there. And we've got the person come in as well. So we've got the background on the first layer. Oops, sorry, just turn them all off. We've got the background on the first layer and the person on the top layer. That is what you need to have. How it was taken is, obviously, you take the background first. The reason why the background is so sharp is because what happens is, if you don't have it on a manual focus, so your autofocus will try and focus on the closest object, and so that was the background. It's sharp, but when I had it on the person and I had the aperture down a little bit lower, it made the background go blurry, but that's okay. We actually want that. So when you're taking your two photos, you need to always think about making sure you don't move, that you're on a tripod or something similar, so that the images are pretty close to the same shot, be it the background or with the person in it. So this one's pretty easy really. We're just going to use a layer mask once again to rub out the skin. And I've had a play around with this, and I think it's best to leave the hand in this one, but let's have a go, and then you can do what you like. Now the reason why I selected this image as well is because the hat is tilted down enough so that I don't need to find the back half of the hat. If her head was leaning up a little bit, I would need to photograph the hat separately so that I could see the internal part of the hat. And that's the same thing for shoes, for jewelry. You need to see the back end if you're rubbing the skin. So just consider that. So I mean, that's not too hard. You just really have to have someone holding the hat away so you can't see their hands, and then you cut and paste it in. But that's a little bit more advanced. Alright, so here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a layer mask. It's the third one along. Click on your layer mask. You know that you've clicked on that when a white box comes up, and it's the same size as that box. So this is where you're going to work. Make sure you're clicking on the white box, not on the picture, because if you click on the picture, it means you're not really working on the layer mask. Alright, so we're on our layer mask, and as you may have done before, layer mask works with black and white. I can toggle between those two. And what we're going to do is we're going to work in black. And make sure that you are on your brush tool, or you can press B. Now you need to just right click once you've got your brush tool and you bring it over, right click and have a look at it. So there you can adjust the size of it or the hardness of it. So it really depends on what you're going around. So I might just stay on the hardness factor for a moment, but just keep my size relatively small. And then I'm going to go Control plus, and that will blow it up. So if I hold Control and go Control plus, so I'm pressing plus twice, that brings it up to so I can get a bit more detail in the face there. Now I'm going to use on my layer mask and I'm going to start rubbing it out. So now I'm on my layer mask and I'm going to start rubbing it out while I'm on black. So I'm just going to carefully go around this neckline with my eraser and around here. Now you can choose to leave the lips in or not, that's really entirely up to you. So what we're going to do is just using our mask tool is to rub it out really. Now if you're going along and you happen to make a mistake like that, oh dear, the best thing about a mask tool while you're sitting on that white box over there is that you can rub out with white. So you just flick it back to white and see how it brings the picture back. That is the best thing about this. So now so use your black and white, so flick back to black when you want to rub out more. If you don't want it to rub out, flick to white. And you can rub out more things that you don't want or you want in it. Now you can choose to leave the eyes or the lips or whatever on your invisible person. That's entirely up to you. So go back to black and you can make your brush bigger if you just want to do a big chunky sweep. You can do shapes and patterns and things like that if you want. So we're just rubbing so we can see the background, but try and be careful when you're doing this to see how I'm not going close to the edges yet. Control plus again, twice I held Control down, I pressed the plus button twice. Now my brush looks too big for these details, so I'm right clicking on the brush on my mouse to get my brush details. Right click again, a bit smaller. So now I'm going to start going in here in these details. So just be careful with that and see how I'm quite blown up. And you want to do that. The alternative to doing it this way is that you can just also alternatively use a lasso tool. I call it lasso. What this does is you can neatly go around things, but make sure when you're doing that your feather, and if you have it on feather, what it does is it creates a blurry line or a blurry line in between. So what we want to do is make it sharp. So I might just make that like a 2 instead of a 35, and I'll explain that later. You could look that up, but just make sure that your feather isn't on a high number. And we're going to just go round neatly around that. So we'll just do a little bit for now, and I'm just going to neatly go around the whole camera. And of course if I stuff up, I can always go to white as well. Nice and neatly around there. And I just have to let it go and join up. Now that looks great. Now all I have to do is fill that with black. So that's on black. Just press on my fill tool. If you can't find the if I call it fill tool, paint bucket tool, it's under your gradient tool. So you see where your gradient is? It's under there. So you're going to paint bucket tool and you just click on it. Alright. So you go to paint bucket tool and you just click on it and it should work. So now see how it's cut that out? Then I go Control D, which is to deselect, or you can go Select, Deselect there. So you want to deselect that. Hold your hand down. So if you want to go back to your brush tool, you can. So you can just go to using your brush tool again if you don't want to do that. Hold your space bar down to move it up. So I can just use my brush tool if I'm feeling confident. Right click, make it bigger. Sort of see how it goes with leaving those lips. So just make it a bit smaller so I can go around those lips there. I did that pretty chunky. So I might just go to white and just make that a little bit better. Back to black. And because we're doing this little bit of detail in here, I might just get my lasso tool and go around that with a little bit more care. Right, so you get the idea in terms of what we're doing. So just work along and you alternating between your brush tool and your paint bucket tool, which is just sort of filling that in. Control D. Or you could just use your brush tool and go from smaller to bigger brush if you don't want to use your lasso tool. Oh, I just stuffed that up. I just press Control Z to undo that quickly. So you're just going to be keeping going with all those details. Try not to miss any. So if you want to get into something, that area, Control plus it. See how I go quite close. Can then just nicely draw around with my lasso tool. Oop. Nicely draw around there, so I'm rushing it too much. Get my paint bucket tool, fill that in, beautiful. Control D, deselects it. So I can sort of just check out what bits I've missed. So, oops, sorry, that's not good. Just Control Z that. Back to lasso tool. Just checking out that I'm making sure that I've got all that nice. Again, paint bucket tool, click on it, click in it. Control D, deselects, holding my space bar down. Whenever you see the hand, it means I'm holding the space bar down. And I am just going to do some of those details. I think I'll just use the brush at this stage. It's getting a bit boring. Yeah, so I can go close up with the brush. Alright. Okay, Control minus. So check out, see how that's looking much neater now around there. So we're doing quite a good job. Alright, so just continue with that. So continue using brush and I'll show you the end result. So there you have it. So I've got our layer mask there, which is showing that black, and so now that's cut out. Now you can have a little bit of fun. So we can play around with our background and make it a little bit different or blurry or pixelated or use a filter with it or whatever you want to do. So you can play around with that. So let me just show you. So we could, for example, just go Control U and I could push the saturation up a bit. So that's going to change the actual picture underneath in comparison to the background. If you like, you can do that. So see how that's sort of similar or whatever. So I'm just going to push it up a little bit. You can push your saturation up so that part's really bright in comparison, or you can desaturate it, make it less. So let's just have some fun and push that up to that and go okay. Then you could, for example, so the other thing you can do is get a filter. Use a filter if you wanted to, and maybe, you could blur it if you wanted, so equation blur, so you could make that really blurry if you wished. See how you're sort of making it look more sort of pop arty or poster like in some way, or you can just blur it a little bit. You could match your background if you wanted to, so that kind of blurriness, really up to you in terms of what you want to do there. I'll just keep it about that. And there you have it. So see how you can just keep playing around with different versions of that. You can also play with the colour of your original picture too if you wish. So now that that mask's done and cut, it's invisible there. So what we're going to do is you're just going to, once you're happy with that, I might just tweak that background a little bit more. I probably will just leave it natural, but I might pump the saturation up a little bit. So I want it to be close to the background, not too defiably different. But again, you can do whatever you like. I might just click on my original too, and I'm just going to Control U. I'm just going to pump that up a little bit too, just to give a little bit more whisper. And there you have it. So that's an invisible person. So remember, the tricks are to carefully use your brush tool to use a layer mask, and all you're doing is really rubbing out. But remember, you can flick between black and white the moment it's not on that, because we've used two different colors. Flick between black and white to undo any mask mistakes. Then you can't go wrong. All you have to do is have two layers, so when you come to take your own image, you do so by taking the background and then with the person in it. And it's as simple as that. If you want to take things like shoes, they've got shorts, and then you do the shoes. Again, just remember to take the shoes without the person standing in it, so you've got the back end of the shoe, or the inside part of the shoe, all those little things. If you have a look at enough online, you'll sort of get to see what I mean. Another cool version is where I've had the person standing there with the shoes, and it's just got the shadow without the person, and that looks really cool as well. So maybe we can have a look at doing that at some other time. Alright, well, I hope you enjoy that. Again, show us anything that you've got in terms of, if you have a practice of this, give me a look and see what your originals turned out like. I'd love to see them. Share them with me on Pinterest, or let me know under the YouTube channel there. And happy photoshopping. Until next time, it's Anna. Bye bye.